think of this situation. Your family has chosen to get a new dog. You have the option, a purebred puppy from a breeder or a mixed pup from a shelter that is overcrowded. The dog from the shelter may not be a puppy, but it is loving and it wants a family to love it. Here's the catch. If the shelter pup isn't adopted today, it will be put down to being deemed unadoptable after being in the shelter for too long. What would you do? By adopting a pet from a shelter, you are giving these pets a second chance at life, as well as not contributing to the overpopulation of companion animals in the United States. While sheltered pets may not be purebreds and may not be puppies that we think are so cute, these animals need a loving home where they can live their days being loved by a family of their own. As humans, we make choices that benefit ourselves every day. This is a chance for us as humans to do something for the animals that are in need. I know all this information because of the extensive research about sheltered pets within the United States that I have done. Within this speech, I will be elaborating on the topic of shelter population, the consequences of animals that are not adopted, as well as research done on my own on how college students feel of the subject of adopting before shopping. Most people do not realize the severity of pet overpopulation and what happens to pet if they are sheltered for too long. Therefore, they do not know the benefit of adopting before shopping for their next pet. The first thing I'm going to address is the number of animals that are in the shelters within the United States. This gives an idea for the number of animals within the United States that are homeless and looking for a forever home. The first thing I'm going to address is how shopping for pets can contribute to the sheltered animal issue in the United States. The animals are often brought in to the breeder as babies because they are cute. The animals are normally purebred, and that's what people are looking for in animals in order to show wealth or preference. By shopping for these animals, it is enabling the breeders to continue to breed these animals and produce more animals. But what happens to the animals when they grow up? It is simple. They get shipped to the shelter because the breeders cannot afford to feed them. There, they will sit until somebody decides they want to adopt them. According to the ASPCA in 2011, approximately 6.5 million companion animals enter the U.S. animal shelters nationwide every year. Now, some of these animals are strays, and some get returned to their owners, but those lucky animals only equals a fraction of this number. For those others who don't get this fate, it is very wishy-washy on how their life will turn out. The SPCA again says in 2011 that each year approximately 1.5 million sheltered animals are euthanized. These animals are helpless and cannot control what happens to them and receive this fate due to people preferring to shop over adopt. When people decide to shop over adopt, many animals that have loving and kind hearts meet the fate that shouldn't be given to these sweet and helpless animals. Looking into the public opinion on the topic will enlighten how people truly feel about this situation. Research from the survey done within my communications class from the University of Findlay campus, I have asked a series of questions revolving around the idea of adopting over shopping for pets. The first question I asked was, if you were to get a pet, would you go to a shelter or a breeder? 60% of these students that were surveyed states that they would go to a shelter. However, 60% of the responses state that they gotten their pets from a breeder/pet store. Note that I did place pet store and breeder together because pet stores get their animals from a breeder. This data shows that people like the idea of going to a shelter to get pets, but often go to the convenience and end up going to a breeder or a store to get their animals. Although 100% of the students surveyed stated that they understand the benefit of adopting over shopping, only 2 out of 5 have never gotten their pet from a breeder. The issue found within the survey was 75% of the students were unaware that there was an overpopulation issue within the companion animal industry. This is a good example of why people tend to be less willing to go to the shelter before the breeder due to the lack of knowledge about the overpopulation within the companion animals. Lastly, the students suggested that in order to increase adoption, fundraisers increase funding in order to bring awareness, as well as public events showcasing the animals for adoption, could increase the community's likelihood of adopting these animals. If the U.S. citizens continue to be uneducated and unwilling on this subject, the number of animals in these shelters will increase due to further overpopulation from buying from breeders and increased numbers of harmless, loving animals being put down due to overpopulation in shelters. Looking at why this is a good opportunity for people looking to add a new furry friend into their household is very simple. According to Stephanie from One Green Planet, most pets that come from a shelter are a bit older, and they may have already been house trained by the previous owners or by the shelter people. This means that training isn't an issue for most pets from the shelter. Shelters strive to make these animals more adoptable and decrease the chance of bad manners and accidents happening within their new homes. By having these well-behaved and trained dogs, there's no need to worry about that missing left shoe or that chicken that you left on the counter. Stephanie also emphasizes that when you adopt, you're freeing up space in the shelter for another animal who needs the care and attention a shelter can provide. By giving the animal of your choice a new loving home and a second chance at life, you are opening up an opportunity for another animal to get the same opportunity that your new friend had. In reality, the shelters will always be the home of animals that are not fortunate enough to find loving homes. However, by adopting before shopping, you are opening up a loving home for your new furry friend and giving another animal the opportunity to have the same fate.